Hey, welcome back to the Build It Basement. Today we're on episode number 12, our VORON 2.4 build, using the FORMBOT kit that we ordered. Skipping backwards today to the belting on the X and Y on the gantry here. Reason I'm doing that is I'm actually going to record all of my belting in one shot. So in the manual currently, we left off last here where we were building the afterburner. We finished that up last video. If you didn't catch that one, go ahead and take a look back. Awesome looking piece once you're done with it. Again, full video on that. If you go back a video or so, you can take a look at that. But today we are moving backwards. Let's see here. We're at page 82-ish. So we're going all the way back now. All the way back to page 64. And this is the start of belting on the VORON. And importantly, in the FORMBOT kit, they give you a package that looks like so. Let's see if that shows up. Might be too bright. Yep. So anyways, this is a 2GT 6mm length, 1,800 millimeter, which is actually split into two separate belts inside the package. And done a lot of playing around with these, done a little research, watched some videos, listened to some audio from some other folks, and to the best of what I can come up with, these belts need to be pretty close to exact in the same length. So my devised plan of attack on these is basically to mark one of the two belts. I'm going to mark this one right here. I'm going to use a silver Sharpie. Just put a little dot on it, like that. And then I'm going to get to the other end of that same belt. I'm also going to put a dot on that, and you'll see why in a little bit. Basically, I've marked both ends of one of the two belts. And what that's going to allow me to do is secure that to the other belt in a zipper configuration, and I'll make that the one that is one tooth further ahead. So basically, if you're looking at it, you'll see one of the two belts is got the first tooth beyond the second belt, and that's also the one with the silver on it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to attach those two together with a zip tie. Hey, bud. So we'll go ahead and do that. Again, one tooth ahead on that.
And now we're just going to start 40-minute walk.
40-minute walk. That sounds like fun. Hey, Haley. All right. What you doing?
We just came back from our walk.
Oh, that's what Keegan said. I should listen better, huh? Mm-hmm. All right. Not time for playing right now, though. Okay, so basically the one with the mark on it, the one with the dot that I put on it, is one tooth further ahead than the other one. And we're just going to run through these like a zipper. And actually, let me do this. We'll bring everything aside. Do this close up. So again, mark. This one's further ahead. Okay, and these will fit together like a zipper. And the reason we're doing this is because it's been said, it's been told, it's been written that these belts need to be as close as possible to the same length and have the same amount of teeth as possible. So we're just going to hold these together, and as we move across them, we're going to firmly make sure that the teeth stay together. If we feel a bump, we know that we've jumped a tooth. We do not want to jump a tooth. So we're going to work our way right across these. I don't think anybody else has done it this way, and I might be a little asinine to do it this way, but there seems to be a lot of importance on it, so this is the devised method I've come up with. So again, holding these tight, working them through, making sure we don't get any jumps, and as long as you're holding these together tightly, there's no way for them to slip. It's their tooth. They have teeth. They're biting into each other. And we know which one's which because we marked both ends of them, of the one belt. So we'll keep going. We should be close to the end here. And if they do start to snag a little bit, just work them out. Just make sure you always hold pressure so you never lose your tooth, your bite between the two belts. Okay. And we're getting close. As we get really close to the end, we don't want to overshoot it, so we're right there. So there's our mark. So if you recall, we made a mark on one end where we zip tied it, or you could clamp it, whatever you got. Basically, you just want to make sure you hold down one end, unless you have 4 hands, so you can hold it while you're doing this. But our one with the mark has one tooth beyond the one without the mark. So we want our one without the teeth to be one tooth beyond the one with the mark on this end. So that puts exactly the same amount of teeth on both ends. So we're going to take this and we're going to cut it so that you're exactly one tooth further ahead on one end that was behind on the other end, like so. So now we have exactly the same length of belt. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They're exactly the same length. We don't need to measure them. We don't need to do anything else. They're done. Cut the zip tie off just as I did. If you're following along, if you're doing that, if you're looking for a method to do that, and you should be good. You should be 100%. All right, so next up is the starting of the belting. So in the manual, they kind of give you a route. They show how it goes, and it actually, kitty down here too. Everybody's visiting. It's actually not too bad to follow. So basically, you're going to start here. This is basically where your print head is going to be mounted eventually, and you're going to work your way backwards through this whole side, and then back down through, and then back through. Actually, I apologize, not through there, but back through this way. So basically, you have one motor that's controlling one side, one motor that's controlling the other side. So let's get to doing that. I actually have another camera that I don't normally use. It's a little bit less quality, but I have it available if I think the view will work. Just trying to show this here. So let me see if we can keep a good view on this the whole time. All right, so we're starting with the print head facing us, and I've taken off my clamps because I didn't have the button head screws that they recommend in the manual. So this is just going to make it easier for us to work with it. And we're going in the top hole. So there's 2. This is the top one, and you may have some difficulty getting it through. And what I found is if you just get in there and just work out the edges, because it tends to be the top and bottom that get stuck, not so much the back side of it, like that, you should be pretty good. So I'm going to put this so that we have a complete tooth further than we want it to be. If we were exactly lining it up, give us a little bit of play. And I'm just going to temporarily put this screw back in, this clamp, just to hold it while we're working on it. And it's just enough to hold it. Okay. So now, first things first, is we're going to go against this geared idler. And we don't want to twist the belts, so we want to kind of hold them nice and straight. So as long as we stay on one side of the belt the whole time we're working, we should be okay. There are some areas on this where it's difficult to put it through. but there is ample room everywhere to work. So if you take your time, it's not that bad. I was really worried about it. Actually, I can move this guy forward a little bit. So there's our first move from here to the geared idler. Okay. Then we're going to go turn this guy a little bit. We're going to go through the back side of this to that second idler. This time we're going to go smooth side facing inwards. And if you can see, I know it's difficult, but if you can see, there's room here so we can actually push our belt through, so we're not trying to leave it on its own, because it won't go easily, at least. So like I said, there's plenty of room to work with. So we've gone from our head through the first geared idler, or the tooth idler, I should say. It's not geared, it's toothed. And then to our second double bearing idler, one of the ones we manufactured. Okay. Now, this camera here real quick. And now we're on the back side here. And we just want to make sure that we keep our belt from being twisted, because it'll make us a lot more work if we do twist that belt. And that gets fed right along the back side of that double bearing. You want to try to keep it out of the track. You want to try to keep it out of the track of your extrusion. It gets to be a pain if you do get it in there. It's nothing you can't correct, but just extra time. All right. There. So that is that. Now we want to move again across the back side. We're actually not going against anything here, it's just the extrusion in the plastic, the ABS from the print. Like so. Okay. So there's our path. Path, again, at this point it's going here. Clamp, geared idler, bearing idler, around the back, through here, straight up, not touching anything. Then we now bend this back corner. Okay. Hope nobody gets seasick here. Alright, so on this back corner we have a hole right in here, right up against the extrusion, that we're going to continue to run out against. So at this point our belt, the tooth section of it is facing towards the extrusion, so we want to keep our flat section towards the inside, tooth on the outside, like that. Okay, pull it straight out the back. Then we have our double bearing idler, the top one that we're going against here. Okay, we're going to pull this. We're actually, at this point, I'm actually going to switch to a different view here. We're going to take this and we're going to feed it all the way through. I know our motor's in there, our stepper driver motor. Which way you want to go on that? We're going to feed it all the way through. Like so. Like I said before, they give us ample room to work with. So as long as you're not trying to work everything in a really small area, you should be pretty good. So we come through there. We know we're going around it, so that's our next step. So we're going to leave this through. It's kind of like threading a needle here. So gears are going to be on the inside this time because they're going to be going around that. But there's also an idler here in the back. It's actually the two bearings. Kind of see them sparkling as I turn them back here. So my goal is to use the section they give us here in the top to kind of feed everything through, and then back through the back. I'm going to leave tension, I'm going to leave some play on the belt as I pull this through. I'm actually making myself a little bit of a loop. I don't know if it can be seen, but there's extra in there. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm not stuck pulling against the motor at that point until I get to the very end. Alright, once I do get to the end, just going to work it a little bit. And I actually made a mistake there. Working my way backwards. What I did is I went around my plastic here on the back. This needs to go directly past there, so I'm going to pull it back out real quick. Everything else applies, just a little fidgety mistake. Not a big deal. There we go. Alright. And then we're just going to do the same thing again. Using that extra space they gave us. And they did the design. Very thankful for that. Sometimes when you're putting things together, actually often when you're putting things together, you wonder why things are designed a certain way, and you don't realize it until you get a little bit further. Then you start to wonder if somebody had the foresight or if it took a bunch of tweaking after the fact to come up with something. I'm going with the tweaking. Alright, so now we're on the back side here. Okay. So, back side, front side. And we're actually going to run this all along the whole back. Across this bearing. Not enough hands. Top bearing on this side. That's where we're going. And then keeping our smooth side of the belt. We're going to loop around that. Like so. Okay. And then we're going to go right past. I don't really have enough room. Nah, can't do it. Right past. So, going to hit bearing on top, which again is there's the idler, which again is 2 bearings. And that bearing stack. And I'm kind of stuck here. Apologize for that. Switch views real quick. So what we need to do is get it so we're just on that bearing. The idler that we made using 2 bearings. There we go. Okay. Again, I'm bypassing. Switch this around again. I'm going to hold this taut. I'm going to fold it back a little bit and then back out this side, like so. Belts do like to get into those extrusions. And here we are. Back where we started. Sort of. The opposite side. And fidget this a little bit. And end up switching cameras here so I can get in and see what I'm doing. Right now I'm kind of flying blind. Get the gist as to what that looks like though. Go back to this camera, get this guy out of the way. Alright, and I'm going to position myself so I can see what I'm doing. More so see ag. Plain nice. Come on. You know how fun this is to watch. Actually, you know, might be fun to watch somebody struggling, right? Who knows? Whatever you're into. Come on. Do not have much of a tip in terms of trying to get these through, other than a little persistence. I guess if I was having a lot of trouble with them, I could poke something through one of these last teeth, maybe a paper clip or something, and then bend that around the corner and pull it, but I shouldn't have to do that. I just don't know what's getting stuck on. The tweezers may not be fine enough. Oops. So close. All right. What else I got that I can use? Let's try these guys. Better. horribly, huh? How does it go the other way? Okay. It's nice the other way. So I know it's not being held up with plastic. Just the bending of the belt. When they package the belts, they obviously roll them. And I believe these must have been rolled in the opposite direction of the direction I'm trying to put them through in. So let me do that. Let me try rolling the belt. Maybe we'll get something out of that. To help us out just a little bit. And we are pretty much making a 90-degree turn with this thing. So, wow. I can see it. There we go. Whew. That was not fun. Everything was going so well until we got to that point. So, just as it should on an XY printer, we move this front to back, we're getting side to side motion. It's kind of like an Etch-a-Sketch. I don't know. Those little sketchy things. So we're not going to tighten that too much. We'll leave it like that. And we'll start with the second belt. So on the second belt, let's see here. It's pretty much the same as the first. Biggest difference being the path is going to be utilizing the second set of everything that we used on the first set, just at a different level. This is the top level. Next one's going to be on the bottom level of everything. So, we'll start off by moving our XY to center-ish, taking out our clamp again. Setting that aside. Putting this guy through. Giving us a hassle. There we go. Okay. I'm going to line these two up. I'm going to switch back over to this guy. I just have this camera on a random mouse button because I don't use it. So we're one tooth beyond with that. So we're going to do the same with our second. I know it's hard to see even with this, but I'm trying the best I can. So put this clamp back into place. I'm not going to tighten it until I get these where I want them, which is something like so, and I will show you in a second here. Get that on there. So see if we can focus. There we go. So basically I have one tooth beyond this piece right here. So, and then they're clamped in there, both at the same length. Okay. Whoop. And on this one, we're actually going to be working our way. Let's see if we get this backwards. So we're going to follow the same path. We're going to come through this way. But as opposed to being on the top, we're going to be on the bottom. So we're going to go around this first idler. Which again is a stack of bearings. And this is probably going to wind up in the extrusion. Just likes to get in there like that. So just to show what that looks like. Now pull that through. You want to make sure that these are actually riding properly on your idlers. Just a millimeter or two make a difference on those, so be careful. And once we get past that, we're working our way backwards this way. Stay on the back side of the belt. Come on, focus. There we go. All right, on the back side here. So, same but different from the first. Okay. And we'll continue to work our way around the back side. This time we're actually going to hit the second motor. Second stepper driver. So I'm going to hold that right about there. I'm going to pull my belt through. I'm going to make sure there's no twist or kinks in it. I'm going to thread it through. Like so. Okay, so let's put this over here, and actually move this guy a little bit here, so we can get in and see what we're doing. Okay, and then I'm going to grab this and start to loop it around our full stepper. Utilizing that second hole in there. Somebody was genius when they designed some of this. Again, try to make sure to stay right on the center of those idlers that we put in. And then I'm going to again weave this backwards across to the back idler. Right here. Okay, so this guy should be up there, this guy's right here. So we're on that back idler now. Alright, At which point we should be able to hold that, take it back into our drive, and run it straight through. Be careful. You don't want to kink the belt. And we want to stay underneath our other belt that we have already installed. I'm actually going to switch over to this. So at this point we're over here, and we're going to run on the lower end. Alright, and now to go to our screen, we're actually, where are we? We're down on this side now, so we're going to bypass our gantry, our center, and then we're going to come down through to our idler here on the far end, down this way, and that's also where our tensioner is going to be for this side. So let's see if I can get that. I don't know if I can get a good video angle for that. Well, I know I need one, but let's see. Does that work? Yeah, that might work. All right. So now basically we want to loop it in, slot it back, run it all the way through, and then around our double bearing idler. Kind of like saying that now. That. And then back through. That's getting a bit difficult, so let's pull the tweezers out just to guide it around the other side. Easier to do this from the underside. Let's see if I can get down there. Basically, we're just trying to position our belt so that it is going around the idler. I'm not getting big. Try to get a little bend on this maybe. See if we can get this to go. There we go. That's coming through the second hole. Which point places us to go through tooth idler. And end up back in the middle. And let's see if this is a little easier than the first one. I doubt it, but maybe, right? Let's put these. here. So I'm not trying to work around the camera. Try to put a bend in this. And proving to be just as difficult as the first one, because we wouldn't have it any other way. But there we go. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. All right, so these should pull to be the same length as the other ones, roundabout. So we're going to put our clamp on that. And let's see, I'll go back to this right here. My fingers have stopped working. There we go. All right, so we're going to clamp that. Not overly tight. Just enough to hold everything in place real quick. There we go. So we're going to tighten everything up so everything holds itself. Just enough for that. And these guys should be round about this, well, not round about this point, they should be the same length, which they are. So just to show that real quick, here's our end result. Our belts are the same length. Okay? So, belting on the gantry. There you go, episode number 12. I'm actually going to continue on with in episode number 13. I'm going to start recording here shortly. Try to get that out ASAP, but I'm going to be belting our Z-axis, just in a belting type of mood. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. If you like what I'm doing, go ahead and leave me some comments, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you on the next video.